Okay, thanks to the IIT Kharagpur Math Club for having me speak. The topic is sunflowers and applications, and I prepared it from the book Extremal Combinatorics by Stasis Jukna. So let me write it. Extremal Combinatorics with applications in computer science. I hope I spelled it right. Just check. Okay, so the topic is sunflowers. I'll soon tell you what they are. And yeah, so just before I begin, I'd like to tell you that at any point, if you have any question or any clarification, feel free to stop me and ask. I'd like to have like as many of you with me as possible for as long as possible. So just stop me and ask if you have any question at any point. Okay. So let me begin by defining what a sunflower is. So you may have seen the materials posted by Arnav in the Facebook page, in the Facebook announcement of this session. So, well, okay, so maybe before defining it formally, let me give a small example. So consider this set of sets. So let's say so these 5 sets. Now there are two things that I'd like to draw your attention to. One is that the intersection of any two of them is the singleton set containing the element 1. Each okay. Another is that if you subtract this set 1 from each set, the resultant sets are all disjoint pairwise. Yeah. So each set. So if I give names to the sets, let's say yes. This is the set difference, huh? Or disjoint, pairwise disjoint. And non-empty. So what do they look like pictorially? So there is this element 1. So there is this set, singleton set containing the lone element 1, which sits in all the sets. Yeah. So this is going to, so we'll call it the core. Yeah. And then the remaining elements of each sets, we'll think of them as arranged like them, like this in the periphery. So this is 2, 3. This is 4, 5. So the sets are these. So 1, 2, and 3. 1, 4, and 5, and so on. 1, 6, and 7. 1, 8, and 9. 1, 10, and 9. So hopefully this picture suggests why such families are called sunflowers. Yeah. So let me define a sunflower formally. थोड़ा distinct है. So this notation is it's for all. It's the universal quantifier. In case some of you have not seen it. So what does it say? A collection of sets is called a sunflower if one, all the pairwise intersections are the same set Y, yeah, and if I subtract this set Y from the remaining sets, each of the so those sets are all non-empty. Yeah. So then yeah, you can. So this core is the Y is the core. So here in this case, 1 is the core. Yeah. And you can think of these as petals, and there are k of them. Okay, so the core can be empty, for instance. So if Y can be empty. And as you can see, if Y is empty, the sets are all pairwise disjoint, and it's so. So a bunch of pairwise disjoint sets is a sunflower with an empty core. So sunflowers are, by the way, there is something that I glossed over. So how about the elements of the set? What are the elements of the set? So the elements of the set come from some universe which we don't talk about. We don't talk about what the elements are of these sets. So these are sunflowers are, as you can see, highly regular arrangements. So they have lots of uses. We will see a tiny use later today, hopefully. So they are like nice combinatorially nice regular arrangements. And yeah, so let me now come to sunflower lemma. Yeah, this was proven by Erdos and Rado in 1960. So before stating the lemma, qualitatively, what the lemma says is that if you have a large collection of sets, then you are bound to have a large sunflower in that collection. See, if you have a lot of sets, these regular patterns are bound to arise somewhere in that lot. So let me state it formally. So a family of sets is just a collection of sets. For instance, yeah, this is a family of 5 sets. So we are looking at families of sets. We are looking at a family of sets where all the sets are of the same size, which is S. And now, let's assume that the family is a large family. So F is at least S factorial times k minus 1 power S for some k. S is the size of each set in the family, k is some number. The lemma says that then so the lemma says that if you have a family with at least these many, strictly more than these many sets, all sets of cardinality S, then somewhere in this family there must be a sunflower with K petals, no matter what these sets are. These sets could be arbitrary, but as long as there are these many of them, there must exist a sunflower with K petals somewhere in this family. This is what the lemma says. Okay. Okay. Any questions so far?
Sir, I think the screen, like when you're telling and when you're writing, it's bit there's some lag, I guess.
That probably cannot be helped.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So before proceeding to the proof, let me tell you a bit about how good are these parameters. So this is so qualitatively it says that a large family is bound to have a large sunflower, but yeah, you can still ask whether this is the best that we can, can we replace this number by a smaller number and strengthen this statement quantitatively? Yeah, can I replace s factorial times k minus 1 to the s by some number which is smaller, and will the statement still hold true? Or this is the best number that can be put here? Or in other words, how sharp is this bound? So this bound is not believed to be. Yes.
I have a question.
Please.
So the elements of the set need to be integers or the natural numbers or something like that. Is it a condition?
No. The elements of the set could be anything. They could be cats and dogs.
Why cannot we get? I mean, these many numbers of I mean, why cannot we create a family which contains like cardinality S, and all of them are all of them are distinct. I mean, all of them are mutually disjoint. Then we would not get a sunflower, right?
No. So K disjoint sets form a sunflower with an empty core.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So you cannot avoid a large sunflower, no matter how you choose your sets. That is what this lemma says. Okay. So yeah. So coming back to the tightness of this lemma, what is the smallest number that we can put here, such that the statement still remains true? So Erdos and Rado conjectured that so let me write it somewhat informally. So there exists a function if, think of it as from natural numbers to natural numbers, such that in the lemma statement so the mathematicians who proved the lemma conjectured that you can replace this by some term which depends only on k power s. In particular, you can get rid of this multiplicative s factorial. So this is a better bound when k is sort of constant and s is a growing quantity. Yeah. Then eventually s factorial will overtake, no matter how large fk is, as long as it's something fixed. This s factorial will start dominating fk to the s after a point, if s is something growing and k is a constant. This conjecture is open, so it's still unresolved. Very recently, people have improved this to smaller numbers, but not quite. People haven't quite got into the conjecture. But of course, I won't talk about these recent developments. So if you want pointers, write to me later. Okay, and yeah. So, but can we know a lower bound? So what do I mean? So can I? So can you give me a number such that this lemma is not true, is known to be false if this is replaced by this number. So anything.
One.
Yes.
If we replace it by 1, I mean,
Sorry.
the lowest bound. I mean, if we replace s factorial k minus 1 whole power s by 1.
F factorial s factorial k minus 1 whole power s by
I
1.
mean,
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying
of course.
the lower bound to be 1.
Yeah, lower bound could be 1. So I wanted something more useful or something more informative. So what is the most informative lower bound that you can give on this quantity? So this is a lower bound that we know. In fact, we will. Sorry, what did I say? Yeah. So we will see later today a family with k minus 1 to the s sets which do not have any sunflower of size k. That will come later. So that do not have any sunflower with k petals. We'll come to it later. Just wanted to state it. Okay, so let's prove sunflower levels. It's a simple proof. Okay, so the proof is going to be by induction on S. So this is going to be the proof method. Yeah. So base case is S equal to 1. So that means we have a family with how many elements? S factorial times k minus 1 to the s, which becomes how much? K minus 1 if s is equal to 1. So that means the family has strictly more than k minus 1 sets. So family has at least k sets, and it's an S regular family. So all sets are of size S, which is 1. So F has at least k singleton elements, singleton sets. Let me just write singletons. S equal to 1, and you know any two singleton sets are pairwise disjoint. So k singleton sets form a sunflower with k petals and an empty core. Okay, so let's do the inductive step. So assume that S is at least 2 and the statement is true for all families. So statement is true for S minus 1 or all smaller s. S minus 1 is enough. So we assume that the statement is true for S minus 1, and now we'll have to show that it's true for S. So now let's consider a largest collection of pairwise disjoint sets in F. So I don't know. So it's a T1, TL. In F. Huh? So yeah, this largest is not very crucial. It could be a maximal collection of pairwise disjoint sets as well, but don't worry about it. Let's go ahead with largest. Yeah. Now there are two possibilities. So case one. So case one is how many such sets are there? So what is the size of this collection? L. So how much is L? So one possibility is that L is greater than or equal to K. This is the easy case. If L is greater than or equal to K, then you have at least, so then you have a collection of K pairwise disjoint sets in F. So they form a sunflower with K petals, at least K petals, and an empty core. So then T1, T. Yeah. So let's assume that L is smaller than K. That's the more interesting case. Yeah. So L is smaller than K. So there are strictly less than K of these sets. So now consider their union. So let T be the union of these sets. T1 union T. Now here is a small claim. So for every set in our family, yeah. So family is a set of sets. So sets are elements of this family. So I wrote this membership notation. So for every set in our family, S intersection T is non-empty. So let me pause for a few seconds and see if any of you see why this is true. So once again, T1 through TL is the largest collection of pairwise disjoint sets in F. Yeah. Then I took their union and then I called the union T. And now I claim that T must non-trivially intersect every other set in this family. Why is this true?
Because T is union of the largest collection. So if S intersection T is not empty, then S is also in T. I mean, S is also in that T1, T2, T3, TL. Right?
Yes. Right. Huh. So if S intersection T is empty, what's your name, please? Hello. Anyway.
Mohit.
Okay. Yeah. So as Mohit said, so if S intersection T is not empty, then you can throw S into this collection, and the resultant collection will also be a pairwise independent collection. Pairwise disjoint collection, but of a larger size, and that will contradict the hypothesis that this was the largest pairwise independent collection. Yeah. So let me just write in one line. So otherwise, so T1. So a set that intersects every other set in a family is called a hitting set or a blocking set of that family. We'll come back to this, but let me just mention it in the passive now. Anyway, so we have this set that intersects every other set in F. Now, how large is T? We can put some upper bound on the size of T. each of these TIs comes from the family F, and so each of these TIs has S elements in them, and there are L of them. There can be some overlap, but certainly it's at most L times S, which is at most K minus 1 times S, because we assume that L is less than K, strictly less than K. So there is this set containing K minus 1 times S or less elements that intersect every other element in the family. So then, okay. So this is the end of this claim, the proof of this claim, and this is something new. So now by averaging, there is an element X in T such that if I look at all the sets in F that contain X, so that is S in F such that X is an element X. So the number of these sets is at least mod F divided by mod T, right? So T has mod T many elements. Every set in the family contains at least one of these elements. Yeah? So that means that there is one element that appears in a lot of sets in the family. So there is one element X that appears in at least these many sets in this family. Yes. And so, but how much is this? Mod F is at least S factorial times K minus 1 to the S, we said. So this is strictly greater than S factorial times K minus 1 power S divided by mod T, we said is at most K minus 1 times S. So let me write S times K minus 1, which is equal to S minus 1 factorial times K minus 1 to the S minus 1. So it's basically, yeah, you see it's the same expression as this, but with S one less. Yeah. So yeah, so any question on this? Just, do you want me to explain it again, or is that okay?
Sir, in the
Yeah.
case 2, when you prove that let T equal to T1 intersection, T1 union T2 union TL, so S belongs to the family. So if it is a member of the set, the family of sets T itself, then is it means we should make sure that it is part of the family, but not a part of the union of all these disjoint sets.
No, why is so S could be a one of these sets, even then it's not true, right? So if S is equal to T1, then S intersection T1 T will be equal to T1, right? Which is not empty.
Okay, yes sir, got it.
Yeah. More question? Okay. So we have so far established existence of an element X, which appears in a lot of sets. So let's look at this collection. Yeah. So let's look at this collection of sets. Each of these sets contains X. Yeah. Let's take X out of each of these sets and look at the resultant collection. So let's call that collection F sub X. So this so you take all the sets in the family that contain X, and then take X out of all of them. Okay. So we just showed that Fx, size of Fx is at least strictly more than S minus 1 factorial times K minus 1 to the S minus 1. Also note that all the sets in Fx are of cardinality S minus 1. So all sets in Fx are of size equal to S minus 1. So the inductive hypothesis is applicable to Fx. and we assume that it's true for S minus 1. So that means by the inductive hypothesis, so Fx contains a sunflower. Let's call it S prime 1 through S prime k with k petals. Okay. Now you look at this collection. Yeah. So you throw this element x back into each of these sets. So you look at this collection. So if you throw the same element into sets in a sunflower, then the resultant collection continues to be a sunflower. This element will just go and sit in the code. Yeah, is a sunflower. This collection is entirely in F. Yeah, because each of these sets is obtained by taking a set in F and removing X from it, and then we added X back into each of them. So this is a collection of sets in F. Each of them is in F, and it's a sunflower of size k in F. And that's it. So we have shown that F has a sunflower of size k. Yeah. So and that's the end of the proof of sunflower lemma. So questions, comments, anything?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So the next agenda is variation of the sunflower lemma. Relax. So sunflowers are highly structured objects. They are very nice, but with rather strong properties. So it may be quite hard to find them. Yeah, because you're asking for a lot, and often a little less structure often suffices for applications, and that may make the task of finding them easier. So people have looked at various relaxation or weakening of the sunflower property. So sunflower, the definition of sunflower is rather restrictive, because firstly, you are insisting that each pairwise intersection is the same, and secondly, so that automatically implies that once you take that away from each of the sets become pairwise disjoint, and also each of those is non-empty. So here we'll relax this very hard requirement that all the pairwise intersections are same. Okay, but before that, let me define the notion of a blocking set, which I touched upon briefly in the proof. So a set, sorry, also called heating set. So T is a hitting set of a family F if it intersects non-trivial. Sorry, it's not equal to empty. If it intersects non-trivial with every set in the family. So it hits every set in the family or blocks every set in the family, if you will. And blocking number of a family that I will denote by tau of f is the size of a smallest blocking set of f. So in the last proof, for instance, this set T, this is a blocking set of the family F because of this claim. Okay, so let's take an example maybe. Let me cook up an example. So 1, 2, 3 is a blocking set. Of this family. And so blocking number of, I think this is the smallest blocking set. So blocking number of this family is 3. But if I insert, let's
Two.
Yeah,
2, 3 is the smallest, I guess.
Or maybe 1, 3, 1, 2.
2, 3, 2, 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 1. Yeah, sorry. So this is a blocking set, but there are smaller ones. Okay, thanks. 2, 3, 1, 3. 1, 2. Yeah. These are all blocking sets. So blocking number. So if this is F. Of this family is 2. Okay. But if I, let's say, I insert another element 7 into each of them, then there will be a smaller blocking set, namely the singleton 7, and blocking number will become 1. Okay. Just one more definition. So for a set Y, so let's define f of sub y to be this. We have already used this notation in the proof. We wrote f sub x. So this is you look at all sets in the family such that y is contained in all sets S in the family such that y is contained in S. So you take all those sets and then take y out of each one of them. Call that family Fy, F sub y. Yeah. So we saw this in the proof of the sunflower lemma, where y was the singleton set X. Yeah. We did not write, so we should ideally write F sub curly bracket X, but we just wrote F sub X. Slight abuse of notation, but it's okay. So once again, so you look at all the sets in F that contain y, and then take y out of all of them, and that resultant family is Fy. So now let me define the relaxation of sunflower. So flower. So it's going to be, so we'll call it a flower. Okay, so it's a maybe a mouthful. So let me explain. So what is a flower with K petals and a core Y? So it's a family such that the blocking number of F sub Y is greater than or equal to K. So that is from this family, you look at first you look at all the sets that contain this Y. Then you take Y out of them and look at the resultant family. And then you consider the blocking number of the resultant family. So that is K. Now let's first observe that it's a relaxation of the sunflower property. So let's consider a sunflower. So let me draw here. So sunflower, this is Y. Terrible diagram, sorry about this. But so what is, so if let's say these four sets are my family F. So my family F is a sunflower, let's say. Then if I, so what is F sub Y? F sub Y are these petals sticking out here. They are all disjoint and there are four of them. So what is the blocking number of a bunch of disjoint sets? So what is the blocking number of four disjoint sets? It's 4. Yeah. Question?
No.
Yeah. So blocking number of 4 disjoint sets is 4. Yeah. But yeah, so this is a weakening of this notion of disjointness. We don't anymore insist that these things that stick out are all disjoint. I just insist that they have a high blocking number. So they cannot all be hit by a small size set. So this is a relaxation of the, the disjointness, pairwise disjointness of the petals that I insisted earlier. I also relaxed on the requirement that Y is a pairwise intersection of everything in the family. Yeah. Because if I look at all sets in F, so this collection before I took Y out of them, all these sets contain Y, but pairwise intersection of any two of them doesn't have to be Y itself, just Y, right? It could have some more element. So I don't anymore insist that the pairwise, all the pairwise intersection, are equal to Y. So the only funny thing in this definition is that the size of F does not have to be K. So earlier, a sunflower with K petals has K sets in it. But a flower with K petals does not have to have K sets in it. It could have, R sets in it, for instance. So let's take an example. Yeah, so we can maybe we'll. Oh, sorry. Yeah, let's look at this example. No, this is the first example. Yeah, this example. So this is a, for instance, this is a family with an empty core. So this is a flower with core empty and 2 petals. Simply because F sub empty is this collection itself and its blocking number is 2. So the funny thing in this definition is that I can't anymore tell you what petals are. So that you can count and see for yourself that there are 2 of them. So something is a flower with 2 petals if it satisfies this definition, but I can't tell you anymore what these objects called petals are. So any question about the definition? So okay, then let me proceed. So yes, question?
So could you please explain again why is it not possible to give a definition for petals in this situation?
Okay, so I say, so a flower with K petals is a family F. So let me write out the sets in the family. So let's say F is S1, S2, SR. Yeah. So a family F with R sets in it will be called a flower with K petals and code Y if this condition is satisfied. Yeah. But then if you come and ask me what are the petals here, I will count and see that there are K of them. Then I don't have an answer to that question. So for instance here, this family, this is a flower with 2 petals. Why? It's a flower with empty core and 2 petals. It's simply because if I look at the blocking number of F sub empty, this is equal to 2. So this is the definition of a family being a flower with 2 petals and an empty core. But I can't tell you what these 2 petals are. That's all. It's slightly funny. But so you may assume, if you wish, you may think of the elements of this blocking set as petals, because the number of petals is the size of a smallest blocking set. But then 1, 2 is also a blocking set, and there may be multiple smallest blocking sets. I don't have a more satisfactory answer to this question.
So sir, in those cases where we cannot really means we can call that, we can say that any K elements of the family, if we take, then we can say that they are petals, any K elements.
Yeah, so you can say whatever you want as petals. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. Yeah, so this is the theorem. So it's a very similar to the sunflower lemma, except that instead of s factorial times k minus 1 power s, you have just k minus 1 power s. So if you compromise a bit on the definition of your sunflower and give up on the structure a little bit, then you can find large sized sunflowers even in much smaller families. Yeah. And now this statement is tight, so you cannot improve it any further. You cannot replace it by anything smaller than k minus 1 to the s. So earlier I indicated that there is a family. Sorry, where did I write? Yeah. So there is a family of size k minus 1 to the s that do not have any sunflower with k petals. The same family also do not have any flower with k petals. So that is a tight example even for this theorem. Okay. Yeah. So the proof is, very analogous to the proof of the sunflower lemma. In fact, that step. So let me quickly do it because it's very similar. So let me just make one comment. So in the proof of the sunflower lemma, in case 2, remember that we took a largest pairwise disjoint collection and took their union. So where did it? And then said that intersects non-trivially all other sets in the family. So this is a hitting set of the family. Yeah. And then we said that it's small. It's at most k minus 1 power s. So these guys observed that, if you can, prove, you can have a better upper bound on the size of a hitting set of this family, you can improve the lemma. So this sort of motivated this new definition of sunflowers, which focused on blocking number rather than disjoint petals. So let's quickly do the proof. Yeah. So proof is similar. So induction on S again. Small s. So Arnav, how long can I go on? Okay, so S equal to 1. S equal to 1 again. A family of, so F is, so F contains at least strictly more than k minus 1 power 1, which is k minus 1 singleton sets.
So were you asking something? My net went off actually.
Yeah. So for how much longer can I go on? That's what I was.
Yeah, like I think by 8:30 up to 8:30 it will be fine. If you
Okay,
want,
okay.
like yeah.
Up to 8:30. Okay, great. So so F contains strictly more than k minus 1 singleton sets. So if F has so at least k singleton sets. So F has a, so if in fact we can, in light of our new definition, F is a flower with empty core and k petals. We can even say that F has a sunflower because these are mutually disjoint sets, similar to the last one. Induction. Yeah. So again, assume that S is at least 2 and assume that the statement is true for S minus 1. Yeah. Now again there are two cases. So case 1. So let's look at the blocking number of F. So let's say the blocking number of F is greater than or equal to k. Well, then you are done, because by definition then F is a flower with empty core and k petals. Just because F sub empty is the same as F. So remember that F is a flower with core Y and k petals if the blocking number of F sub Y is empty. And here empty core means the blocking number of F sub empty set, which is the blocking number of F itself, is at least k. So the more interesting again case is the case where the blocking number of F is strictly less than k. So it's at most k minus 1. So what does it mean? That means that there is a set of cardinality at most k minus 1 that hits all sets in F. So then there exists T such that size of T is at most k minus 1. Yeah. And for every S in the family, T intersection S is non-empty. Non-trivially intersects everything else in the family. Yeah. So again, as I said, it's analogous. So what does it mean? So T has at most k minus 1 sets and it intersects all other sets in the family. So that means every set in the family has at least one of these k minus 1 elements, at most k minus 1 elements. So there is one element here that appears in a lot of sets. So this implies that there exists an X in T such that size of the number of sets in the family that contains X is at least the number of sets in the family divided by the number of elements in T. F is at strictly more than k minus 1 power s, and T is at most k minus 1. So this is equal to k minus 1 power s minus 1. Yeah, and the rest of the proof is analogous. Yeah. So you look at this family, S minus X, where S is in F. So this is what? So this is F sub X. Has, so is a S minus 1 regular. So that is each set is of size S minus 1. Family of size strictly more than k minus 1 to the S minus 1. So that means by inductive hypothesis, Fx is a flower with core Y and k petals, and then again you add X into each element in F. So therefore this collection S, which is obtained by putting X back into the sets in Fx, is a flower. So if you add X to all the sets in a flower, then it continues to be a flower where this new element will go inside the core. Yeah. With core Y union X and capitals. Yeah, yeah, and that's it. Is a flower in F. This is a family. This is a, all these sets are in F. So yeah, so F itself is a family. So F itself is a family. So sorry, F itself is a flower with capitals. Yeah, so in the definition of flower, it's slightly different in another way. If something is a flower, then if you add more sets to it, that continues to be a flower with same number of petals. That is not true about sunflowers. That's true about flowers. So these are like subtle details, but so yeah, so that proves this theorem. Yeah, any question? Any question on this? So maybe now let me show you the tight example and then stop. So the digital circuit application of sunflower lemma may be a bit too much for a single session. So now let me give you a family with k minus 1 to the s sets, which does not have any sunflower, even any flower with k petals. So consider this family. So consider S disjoint sets with k minus 1 elements each. Yeah. So if you wish, you can, so S disjoint sets, let's say A1 through A1. A1 through AS. Yeah. So let's say A1 is 1 through K. A2 is K plus 1 through 2K. They don't have to, the elements don't have to be exactly these, but yeah, as long as they are disjoint and as long as they have exactly K elements each, I'm fine. So S is, what should it be? S minus 1 times K plus 1. S times K, I think. Whatever. Yeah, so this is not my family. So my family is going to be defined in terms of these sets. So this is small s. Huh? So the family is going to be all sets S, which have like all possible sets that can be formed by picking exactly one element from each of these AIs. Yeah. So basically, S such that S intersection A1 is equal to 1, S intersection A2 is equal to 1, and so on. S intersection AS. So example of a set in F is, let's say, 1 K plus 1, 2K plus 1, S minus 1, K plus 1. This is some element in F, where you pick the first elements from each set. And there are various other elements. Yeah. So what is the size of F? Yeah. Somebody? Can somebody say how many elements, how many sets does F contain?
K to the power S minus 1.
Sorry, so I made a mistake. So each set has K minus 1 elements. Sorry. So K minus 1 power S. 2 times K minus, sorry, K minus 1 plus K to 2K minus 2 and so on. So S minus 1 times K minus 1 plus 1. Yeah. So K minus 1 power S. Exactly these many elements. Okay. Now, yeah, S does not, so I claim that F does not have a sunflower with K petals. So let's verify with sunflowers. You can claim. Yeah. So why is because so let's look at any K sets in any K sets in this family F. Huh? So each of these K sets is obtained by picking up one set from A1, one set from one element from A1, one element from E2, and so on. So now by Pigeon hole principle, two of these sets will have the same, will pick the same element from A1 because A1 has only K minus 1 elements, and that will, same will be the case for other AIs. Yeah? So by Pigeon hole principle, okay, so before this, So let S1 through Sk be some k elements in F. So now by PGML principle, for every I from 1 to S, there exists distinct Sj and Sl. So J and L are indices between 1 and k, such that they agree on AI. So Sj intersection AI, they pick up the same element from AI. Sl intersection AI. So that means if I take their pairwise intersection, well, and this is non-empty, of course. So if I take the pairwise intersection of Sj and Sl, yeah, that agree. So that has at least one element in common, which is the one that they pick up from AI. So intersection AI is not equal to 5. Now, if S1 through Sk is a sunflower, each pairwise intersection must be the same, right? So what does it mean? So, and then each pairwise intersection must contain this element, that is this element in AI that's present in Sj and Sl, and that will be true for every I, every set AI. Yeah. So now, if S1 through Sl, Sk is a sunflower, so each pairwise intersection is the same. Which is the core Y. So each pairwise intersection is the same. So let's say equal to Y. Then Y must intersect non-trivially with each AI. But then absolute, so size of Y is equal to S, right? Because there are S AIs. But then the petals are all empty, and basically there is only one set in this collection, which is Y itself, and that is hardly a sunflower of size k. Yes. So let me just write here that it's a contradiction. So indeed there is a family with k minus 1 power s sets which does not have any sunflower of k petals. So, and you can, yeah, it's a little more work to see that it does not have any flower with k petals either, which shows that the last theorem that we did is tight. You cannot improve it, this parameter. All right, so let me stop here. Thank you.